Hey, what's up guys? BOTCG here, back again from my long hiatus. Didn't mean to take like a 2-week break, but you know, it is what it is. And we're back here with not the deck profile you wanted, but once again, the deck profile that these tried and trooper Impaldio players deserve, man. Because man, playing Impaldio is such a struggle, man. Like, it's like you almost have enough cards like for a cohesive deck, and then like you have like freaking 12 to like 15 cards that can literally be anything in this deck, and it literally just feels like it needs more support. It needs better support. It has a few niche cards that you can use to make like a pure Impaldio deck, which has worked out best for me, but pure Impaldio really needs support in my personal opinion. Like, even with all the cards I have at my current disposal, I still couldn't make like a pure version that I said, yes, I like this better than splashing the Blitz Order package. Yes, I like this better than splashing the Dark Knight package, which I did try. I tried a Dark Knight version of Impaldio, guys. I was that down bad. I overcooked into that territory. But this was the version of the deck that I ultimately fell on, that I found that I enjoyed playing the most and made the most sense to me. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. 3 copies of Persona Ride. This deck really, really wants you to Persona Ride. Even though it can buff the front row, it really wants you to Persona Ride on that turn 4 and leading up to that turn 5, just to like push you over the top. So we are running 3 copies of the Impaldio Persona Ride. 4 copies of Vinestar. No, like, not much to say here. He is your like extra drive check guy, so again, really not much to say here. Getting on to our grade 2s. 4 copies of Nebula Dragon. He's a big beater, big shield. Again, there's really not much to say here. Impaldio support. 4 copies of the new Radial Arachnid. I'm still seeing whether or not I actually like this card in this deck, because it's really weird. I like that it can be an attacker or booster. I don't like that for its retire skill, it leaves the board. I don't necessarily like that personally, because Vinestar is already leaving the board. So I found myself more often than not like having to rebuild my board every turn playing Impaldio, which you can do. I'm not saying it's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world, but it can be done with the way that this deck is, the way that these skills are put on top of each other. But I don't know, I really don't like that it goes away, in my personal opinion. I like that it's a booster or an attacker, really good behind Vinestar, really good behind your Vanguard, but it does give you access to pinpoint retire, which is also very nice. But I digress. Going on to the rest of our grade 2s. We're playing 4 copies of Roving Probe. Roving Probe is something that I'm not really playing it for the soul charge effect. I'm playing it for the power effect. Like the fact that when you I almost said scout, like we were playing bases. The fact that when you put this into your gauge, like, it gives something 10k, anything on your board 10k is very nice, especially when you do miss Persona Ride, because like, even though this deck can get those like massively big numbers, it's very important that you can still build good numbers in the early, because in the early is when you're at your weakest. Like, when the game is towards its end is usually when you're at your strongest, but you're usually at your weakest at the start of the game, because you're just building up that gauge. You haven't gotten your codex gauge to where you want it yet. So that's why we're playing 4 copies of Roving Probing. Again, it was really hard to build this deck with just Impaldio cards. But you know what, let me go over the rest of the Impaldio cards first before I go into what I'm teching in this deck. 4 copies of Headway Router Dragon. This is another way for you to get into your pieces and rebuild your board after Vinestar leaves, after Radial Arachnid leaves. So that's very nice, especially against your retire matchups, which there are quite a few decks that can get rid of board. Shout out to Basagra in this current format. But yeah, 4-way Head Router Dragon. He's also another way to get rid of your soul, which the only real way to get rid of soul in this deck is Nebula Dragon. But outside of Nebula Dragon, that's the only other way to get rid of soul. And then We playing 4 copies of Gather 2. I don't know how else to say that. We're playing 4 copies of the Vacuum. He's an 18k beater or an 18k attacker if you have 4 auto mod gauge, and that's the reason why we play him. He's a big beater. Like, this deck, believe it or not, like, you want beaters. You want things that get more stronger by themselves. Headway Router Dragon can get stronger by itself when boosted. Gather is 18k by itself, boosting or attacking. Radial Arachnid, 15 by itself, boosting or attacking. Nebula Dragon, 15, 25 by itself, attacking. Like, you want your stuff by itself to be, like, big and then have the extra power from the front row on top of that. Again, this is very crucial in the early game. Like, on your first grade 3 turn, you... unless you're going first, I wouldn't say it's too big of a deal. But if you're going second, you need to have them 4 gauges, bro. To have, like, the 4 gauges basically activates all your effects. Minimally, 4 gauges activates everything. Well, technically 5 gauges, but I digress. This is all of the IMPAULDIO cards we're playing. Like, the new one that lets you draw a card and discard a card is nice, but the problem I have with that card is it doesn't gain power by itself. Bushy Road, why doesn't it gain power by itself? I would have taken, like, on place 5k. I would have taken that, dude. I would have taken that. But it doesn't gain power by itself. And, like, that's kind of like something that this deck needs. It needs, like, powerful boosters and powerful attackers, unfortunately. And then what we're playing as our 3 of tech slot, I was playing the grade 3 Order Regalis piece that you could put to soul to countercharge or draw 2 cards. That was actually conflicting with my grade 3 IMPAULDIO and Head Rider Dragon because I couldn't call it off of them to get that counter charge. If I see it in the top 5, it's a useless card. So instead, I decided to play 3 copies of Satellite Repairer. The reason that I'm playing 3 copies of Satellite Repairer over, what's his name, over Bulbamine is because Bulbamine goes away. I don't want my rear guards to go away, guys. Vinstar goes away. Radial Arachnid goes away. Bulbamine, if we were playing 4 copies of Bulbamine, that's 3 rear guards that go away. What's my board at the end of my turn? Like 2 rear guards, 1 rear guard maximum? Sure, that's good against control matchups, but you're not always against control matchups, which means you're a detriment to yourself because you're forcing yourself to rebuild your board every turn. So that's the reason why we're playing Satellite Repairer. Energy Blast 4 is a really steep cost, but the reason that we can pay it is because the only thing that Energy Blasts in this deck is our Headway Router Dragon. Headway Router Dragon is an Energy Blast 3. So this is the only thing that's Energy Blasting 3 in our deck, so we can pay for the Satellite Repair's Energy Blast 4 on place to countercharge a card. But, like, you see how down bad this deck is, Bushy. Like, come on, man. Like, we're this close. We're this close. Like, something that lets us tutor from our gauge to the field. Like, come on, bro. That wouldn't be broken. That wouldn't be broken, Bushy. Like, something like on call, like some sort of cost. Get a card from our gauge, put it to board, and then put a card from our drop zone back into gauge so that we're not going down on gauge. Like, come on, Bushy. Come on. Please. Like, man, like, I really like this deck, guys. I really like this deck. And unfortunately, like, as weird as this list looks, this is the list that I found the most success with personally, playing it with this way. And technically, your Proby, if you put it into your gauge on your opponent's turn off of your order cards effect, you can soul charge 1 and energy charge 1. So that's another way to get to Satellite Repairer's cost if you really need to. More often than not, you wanna gauge this on your turn. Is more often than not what you want to do. But I guess we'll get into the DPGs, the Elementaria, and then the triggers. Really not much to say here. Brant Gate Overtrigger, still the best Overtrigger in the game. 3 of the shield effect fronts, we're not really hurting for soul here. The only things that cost soul is Nebula Dragon and Headway Router Dragon. Nothing else cares about soul in this list, so we'd rather have the extra shield versus the go into soul effect. 4 normal heals, 4 normal crits, and then 4 into soul crits. Like, you know, oh man, this is like so close to being a good deck, guys. This is so close to being a good deck, but it really, like, this might be harsh this might be harsh for you guys, but in my opinion, this deck is like I would say like one of the top decks of like tier 3 or like rogue status. Like, it is so close to being like a good deck. And we don't need a multi-attacker, Bushy. Do not give this deck a multi-attacker. It is fine the way that its attack pattern is. But like, it needs more support that cares about what it's doing. It literally needs more support that cares about what it's doing. But sorry guys, I didn't mean for it to come out that way. I just really care about this deck. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all later with more content like this. Bye.